One important issue now is the question of how is the innovation process changing. We're in a situation where the economy is changing fairly rapidly and it's having impacts on the way that firms innovate. One way that it's changing is the way that we picture innovation. We used to think of it as either something that would happen as a science push, where we came up with a new idea and pushed it out to the market, or a market pull, where we went out to the market and had them tell us what they wanted and we would then make it for them. We're now looking at innovation in a more integrated way, where ideas can come from any place. They can come from research, they can come from the market, they can come from our customers, they can come from suppliers. And the challenge for firms is to figure out a strategy that incorporates all of those sources of innovation, all those sources of new ideas, and figuring out a unique way to package them up in a way that gives them an advantage that they can then take to the market and turn into a profit.
One way we can think about competition is really about evolution. We all know about survival of the fittest. How can we be the best adapted business in this particular competitive environment? And that's a nice analogy because we can draw upon evolutionary ideas in a little bit more detail. So if you think about it, how do we design an innovation process that actually generates variety? We get to select the best ideas out and then we run with those ideas. And you need that process that creates a variety, because if you just focus on the current business model, focus purely on efficiency, you might become the best adapted organism, but you reach a dead end point. And I'm thinking a little bit like Woolworths, for example. Woolworths has evolved to become the best adapted organism in large-scale retail. They are streets ahead of everybody else, and you know the competition data, the stock price, they all show that. The trouble with that focus on pure efficiency is that it leads you to a sort of a dead end. You've got to really think about what's another different business model that might be better suited to the landscape. Think of a business like, for example, Cochlear. Cochlear is a great example of a business that is continually exploring new business models that might be better suited to the competitive landscape. We all know about the old cochlear implants. That's one business model, and they've almost perfected that. And then they're exploring new business models that are part of the landscape, and they're trying to work out how to make those work well. For example, Baha, which is a technology which stimulates hearing by vibrating bone rather than having a cochlear implant through the ear. And the next business model that might be the perfect evolution of cochlear is in fact stem cell technology, where they become a nerve repair business. So all the old cochlear implant technology goes out the window. Good businesses are constantly exploring different business possibilities so that they can become the best adapted organism in the competitive environment.
So the organisation must decide where will it spend its new product service development dollars, on which projects will it invest. Organisations go about this in different ways, but essentially the organisation is taking the overall new product and service development budget and deciding to spend a certain proportion of that toward short-term projects, a certain percentage to medium-term, and the remainder to long-term. The relative proportions of money given to each area will vary by business. The next step then is for the organisation to list its potential projects within each of those categories, short, medium and long term. The organisation then must prioritise those projects, spending only that amount of money that's been allocated to each portfolio category.
Another key question is, what impact does the rapidly changing business environment that we're facing right now have on firms? Obviously, technology is moving very rapidly. As computing power increases exponentially, it creates a large range of challenges for firms, but it also creates opportunities. One of the things that we do with innovation technology is we find ways to test things more rapidly. We have rapid prototyping, where instead of testing drugs one at a time in a lab, we test them hundreds at a time in silicon. That allows us to cycle through potential life-saving drugs at a much more rapid pace. This means that firms can fail more quickly, which is one of the key issues that you have to deal with in this changing environment, because when you're being innovative, almost by definition, you're courting failure and you're courting uncertainty. So one method that firms can use to try to deal with this rapidly changing environment is to take more of a portfolio approach and deal with innovations as venture capitalists do, where we have a situation where we know that out of the ideas that we tried, 90% of them won't work and will fail. Maybe 9% of them will be okay and they'll break even. And if we're lucky, we'll get one really good idea out of those 100 that we try. So this rapid experimentation portfolio type approach to managing innovation is one very good method for dealing with the rapidly changing environment that firms now face.
One of the things that you need to do in introducing innovation into a mature business is to have some antidotes. And where you get those antidotes from is through your innovation theory. You can use your theory of diffusion and new product development theory, and just think of your innovation capability as an innovation itself. The other thing that you can do is to harness the champions in your business. Currently, there'll be people who have got ideas just bubbling away, desperate to get them to the surface. Identify who those people are, make those ideas successful, and showcase those ideas and those people, and the change will be inevitable.
The backdrop for innovation strategy is that the pace of change is relentless. It's increasing. Product life cycles are not going to get longer, they will get shorter. Globalisation will mean that you don't know where your competitors will come from. Industry barriers are eroding. Think of Google now going into the phone business. I mean, this is a good example of your competitors are coming from everywhere. If you're not making innovation part of your DNA, you will not survive. Organisations that can put together processes that are rational, you're getting ideas, you're selecting those ideas, they're transparent, you're then selecting the ideas that work and taking them out there and putting them into action. Organisations that do that will survive, and not only survive, but they will prosper.